Hi guys, and welcome to Reality with T. So let's talk very quickly about Married at First Sight, last night's episode. Okay, I'm gonna start with Karen and Miles because I know usually I leave them for last, but they had so much going on. I got to get through everybody. So like, comment, subscribe, okay, and let me know what you think. So basically, last night was the episode where all the men are packing up to move out of the house because it's the day before decision day. And I guess they're going to spend the night separately and then come together for decision day. So all of the men are leaving the house. And then this gives them an opportunity for the men to meet with their friends, the women to meet with their friends separately and talk about what they think might happen on decision day. So we'll start with Karen and Miles, right? So Miles is meeting with his friend, and basically he's telling his friend, like, listen, she has no idea what I need in a relationship. Basically I have to break down step by step for her. And I think he's questioning, like, even if we stay in this marriage, am I going to have to do this with her forever? Because it's been 4 months. And if she hasn't gotten it by now, I can't teach her every step of the way. At some point you have to tell somebody what you need and what you want. But I guess it seems like he's tired of it now. Like, I've been doing this for how long and you haven't caught on? You know what I mean? Like, maybe it just isn't you, maybe he's like, I don't want to force you to do something that you're incapable of doing. So, he does say that he feels that she is trying, because the friend said, is she even trying? And he said, yeah, I do think she's trying, but she basically has an inability to be more intimate. And this may be true, but I'm still sticking to my guns in that she has an inability to be intimate with him. Because I bet you if it was a dude that she was into, she would have dropped it, spread it wide, whatever, they say, dropped it low and spread it wide by now, because she's just not into him. Karen is a sexual person. Karen is able to open up to the right guy, the guy that she's into, and Miles just is not the person, right? So, he acknowledges she is a great woman. She looks good. Everything looks good on paper. She has a good resume, right? And basically when we say that, that means everything lines up as far as what I might have wanted on my list. She's smart. She has a good job. She's independent. She, has a good family. She is clean. She likes to do fun stuff, the whole thing. But the point is, there's no chemistry there. There's no there in between them. So he's now finally seeing that. Like, I can't push her to be something that she is not, or that isn't there. So I'm glad he's finally come around to see that, because it's been a tough road for him. And it has to suck to be rejected in your own home, in your own relationship, over and over and over again in your marriage. Like, he even talked to his friend about a time where he had piled the laundry clothes in a chair, and he was sitting on the couch, and it was spaced next to him on the couch to come sit when she came in from work. She makes herself a plate and sits on the corner of where the dirty clothes or the clean clothes are, and won't even sit next to him. So to me, I don't mean to say it like that, but she's repulsed by him. She doesn't want to be near him. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that's so obvious. And I would have quit a long time ago. So I guess that's good for Miles. So Karen is talking to her friends. Her friends are a bit more optimistic about it. They're like, I think he's a great guy. I think this might work. I like you together, the whole thing. So, she talks about how he needs more nurturing, I think, than she is able to give. She talks about, I don't need to be kissy huggy all the time. We don't need to kiss every time before we walk out of the house to say goodbye. And it seems like that's the kind of relationship that he wants. But she says, that's really not me, she says, and they probably do have two very different love languages. I'm not an expert in that, so I'm not even going to go into that. But she says, she doesn't feel comfortable with his love language. And some people, I think that one of the love languages is physical touch or something like that, and words of affirmation. And we know Miles needs that. And that's supposedly where she has the biggest issue. I don't think, I see people commenting on Karen everywhere. I listen to Little Black Book 91, and I think he's a relationship therapist, and he breaks down everything. He has so many videos on just mannerisms and body language and breaking down all these shows, right? And he says that he's always on Karen's neck because, she's doing all these things. And I honestly think that if we were to see her with somebody that she was into, we would see a completely different Karen. Okay? So, she goes back into, can Miles handle this real life? In the beginning, I thought that he was just putting on to be this perfect guy, and I wanted to see the real Miles. She doesn't know how to articulate this well, but I can understand what she's saying. Right now, in the beginning, you're just saying everything I want to hear. Sure, yes, the whole thing. I want to see the real you. I want to know what it is you don't like, what you don't want to do. Don't try to just acquiesce in the situation. Let me know what's going on. You know what I mean? And I understand that, but that is not something that would have carried on for 4 months of you guys living together. So I feel she's still holding on to that as a reason to not seem like, you know, she's being like the biggest bee in the world. You know what I mean? Because everybody is giving her a hard time. So I don't think that that's still the issue, but maybe that was the issue in the very beginning. You know, she talks about the friend actually says, you know, you guys are two great people. That doesn't mean two great people go together. And I think that's exactly what's going on with her and Miles, right? She talks, I think, did she say she needs an alpha male presence, or did I write that down? I don't know. But, or either the friend said it, but that's probably what she needs. The guy who, you know, that alpha male type of guy, the guy that, like, you know, is very suave, charming. He's, you know, not even that affectionate. He's kind of a leader. He's a little bit aggressive. He's, you know, that type of thing. And that's not Miles. You know, Miles is more of like a type B personality. And I just think that that's just not her type. So, you know, at one point, and people are up in arms about her saying, I want to be put in my place. What she means by that, and she said she wants a man to lead her, protect her, put her in her place. What she means by that is, if we disagree, or if, not to quiet me, not to dominate me, not to disrespect me, but, you know, if I do, she means like, if I do, you know, get a little mouthy or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Don't just let me, you know, verbally beat up on you. Don't just let me, you know, obliterate you. You know what I mean? Which Miles kind of does. You know what I mean? Because she does make a lot of quips about him being feminine or being soft or being young and childish and this and that. And he just kind of lets it go. You know what I mean? He'll laugh it off. He won't really address it. And when she says be put in my place, I think maybe that's her way of kind of pushing, like, how can I get him to his breaking point where he can actually say, hold up, I don't like that. Stop that. You know what I mean? That's what she does need to be put in her place. Honestly, Miles should have put her in her place a long time ago. He should have been like, listen, you know what I'm saying? You stop questioning my masculinity. What you're saying is not funny. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have the upper hand, and, you know, just put her in her place. Let her know that you're being out of line. And she is attracted to that, but I also think that needs to happen for her. I agree. Somebody does need to put you in your place because you have been out of line. So now Miles talks about, like, he wants to know, he needs some kind of, you know, reassurance that she is enjoying being with him. He now knows, like, I don't even know if this girl likes me, if she's into me, enjoying being with me, wants to be with me, which is what I've been saying. He's finally come around and saw it. He needs some kind of affirmation that you want to be with me, right? He wants the connection. He says, like, and then he does kind of discuss her having these conversations about, you know, little things he does, his mannerisms. You know, if I can't be myself at home, then what am I going to do outside? At home is where I'm supposed to be myself and feel more comfortable. He shouldn't feel like, oh, I'm not going to do this or that because she's going to think it's too feminine or too soft. You know what I mean? He says, like, he doesn't know if she can be there for him emotionally, right? Or if they would even have time to get there. And now they don't have any more time because they have to make a decision the next day. So I don't think she could be there for him emotionally. What he needs, she's unable to give. And like she said, this is her first, doesn't mean she'll never be able to get there, but it's her first time encountering somebody like him. So she would need to really work to understand what he needs and how she can change herself to get there for him. So at one point I'm seeing they're like talking and she's like, all right, kiddo, see you later. And I just thought it was so out of line. Like, she was like headed to work or something like that, kiddo. Like, and this is the problem. This is how she sees him. She doesn't see it as disrespect. I see you as a kid. I see she's not into him. You wouldn't call your husband kiddo. You know what I mean? Like, that's just kind of weird. I had a principal I used to work with, you know, supervising me a few principals ago. And she used to call us, all right, kiddo. And it didn't bother me, but then, like, it bothered other people. They brought it to my attention. I'm like, she sure did say kiddo. How disrespectful. We are in a work environment. You know what I mean? Either way, that's off. Yeah, she shouldn't be calling her husband kiddo. That's off the subject, right? But, you know, Miles does say he enjoyed the last 4 months. It was hard. He told her this in the end. He was kind of just like, I'll enjoy the last 4 months. I'll see you on the couch. And if this is our last time talking, I enjoyed it. You know, to me, that's his goodbye letter. So I'm going to give everybody my prediction. My prediction for Karen and Miles is that he is going to say no. I don't know about. She might say yes, and if she does, it's because she doesn't want to lose a good man, not because she is so into him and in love with him. She knows he's a good guy. She wants to grow into a relationship with him. She might say no, yes. If she says no, it's because we know she was never into him. I have a strong feeling Miles is going to say no because she never gave him what he needed. Okay, let me know what you guys think, right? So then we have, oh Lord, so then they had Brett and Olivia meet up, right? Because I guess this is their final conversation since breaking up, breaking off the marriage, right? So, Brett and the friend meets up, and Olivia and her friend meets up. So Brett says, okay, he tells his friend, we decided not to stay together. That's a lie. Brett never takes accountability for anything that he does, right? So, because you left the marriage. It was no, we decided not to stay together. That was after you moved out and left, right? So he talks about the stress of the pandemic brought on a lot of the issues. There were fundamental differences. I do agree with him. There are fundamental differences. He was able to find out what is a deal breaker for him. A deal breaker for him is that he wants kids, definitely. She was not sure or close to not wanting kids. So that's a deal breaker. So there were fundamental differences, but the way that he did it was very asinine. And the way that, and then the fact that he never really fully took accountability for it. Like, I'm sorry for the way that I did it. The way that I did it was messed up. I didn't mean to hurt you, this type of thing. He never did that. So to me, you're trying to cop a plea and you're lying. And I don't like that about him. So, but we always thought he was a jerk. So it is what it is. Now, Brett's friend knows him very well, right? And, his friend is saying like, you have to kind of, he kind of says, Brett doesn't really bend or sway. I'm trying to read my stuff. He doesn't really try to see the other person's perspective in anything. And apparently he has done things within his friendships with his male friends where they felt the same way. Because he said, I had the same issue with Brett, where it's like he's unable to see my point of view. It's all about him type of thing. And how do you keep people around you like that? He doesn't. I can tell from the beginning, with all the sarcasm and the whole thing I was saying from the beginning, like, that's not the type of guy you like to be around. You know what I mean? When you were hanging out with her friends and you're sitting there acting like a douchebag, like, are you thinking about how that's going to affect her? How does she feel? You know what I'm saying? You can get through 2 hours worth of a game night and put a smile on your face and call it a night. You know what I mean? It's one night. Get over yourself. So, the friend asked him, the friend did say that maybe you guys bonded in your nitpickiness. So he's acknowledging that they were both kind of nitpicking at each other about little things. I agree with that. The friend asked him, did you learn anything about yourself? Because the friend is putting him to task. Like, I could have saw this happening because this is you. This describes you, the relationships that you have. Did you learn anything about yourself? I've learned nothing. This is what he says, right? Of course, his defenses are up now because he's perfect. He claims he's perfect. These are also insecurities talking, right? He said, I've learned nothing. He's very insecure. He has no self-awareness. His inability to see his fault in anything is a problem. And this is why he's been on, 45, 50 dates and none of them stuck. And, the friend is encouraging, like, you have to get out of your comfort zone. Everything isn't going to be about Brett the way that you like it. You're going to have to bend a little compromise. That person's going to have to bend a little compromise. This is exactly what got Brett to the place where he is now. He seems to not feel, there's no concern for others. It's like he doesn't feel empathy for others. There's no sense of, I did this person wrong. I feel really bad about it. Let me apologize. We don't see that from Brett. So they talk about the friends, like, so you're going to go back on dating apps. And this sums up his whole persona, right? He says, dating apps are good for efficiency and confidence. Basically, they build up my confidence because you can reject people as you want to. And that's exactly what we see from Brett. He has his self-esteem is shot for whatever reason, I guess from being cheated on by the ex-fiance. And, his confidence is so low. Look, on a dating app, nobody sees me. I can look at girls who don't know what I look like because you're not a prize, and I can just swipe them to the left. And this is in his way of rejecting them. In reality, they don't even know they're being rejected. So this is a false sense of, confidence that he has. And this is very short lasting, right? So, he's probably going to be doing this till whatever because nobody's going to deal with this. The only type of woman that is going to end up with him is probably somebody who makes way less money, who thinks for some reason that he is God's gift to men and is going to kiss his feet every night and do whatever he says, and somehow think that because you have this big house, you're an amazing guy and the whole thing. And this woman is just going to be, she's going to lack a lot of substance because, Brett thinks he is so smart. Really, he's not saying anything, but he needs somebody to worship him and praise him for him and just feed his ego so that he can feel better about himself. So everybody talks about Karen needing counseling. Guess what? Everybody on the show needs counseling. He needs to go to a therapist as well, because the life he sees for himself will never happen, because all of his insecurities and lack of confidence and all this stuff is putting a block in for him. Okay. Now, Olivia, she's talking to her friend. She said it was disappointing because she didn't expect it to end that way. She really was looking for love. And Olivia is very pretty. I looked at her this episode. I'm like, she's a very pretty woman. She talks about how she said she did talk about her part in it, which was the lack of intimacy. And she said, he would ask, and I didn't give as much affection as he would have liked, and maybe if I did, that would have been different. But I also would encourage her not to beat herself up for not giving affection or intimacy, because if you weren't comfortable doing so or ready to do so, you should never feel pressured to do so. You know what I mean? And I think the same thing for Karen. But my thing is, just speak up and say that you're not into the man. Or let them know, I'm not comfortable, I'm not confident. You never feel pressured into doing those things. If for whatever reason you didn't, there's a reason, and that should be acknowledged as well. Okay. So then we have Woody and Amani. So, Amani and her friend have a conversation. Amani feels confident. The only issue she has with Woody is that she feels sometimes that he's not always listening. That he's not really understanding or paying attention to what she's saying consistently, or how they talked about, which I don't really think was a good example of what she was talking about. But when he thought he heard that she said burger, and she was actually saying burka, but he just didn't know what a burka was, and it sounded like burger. So it wasn't a good example of what she was talking about. But I think that what she is talking about is it's like men listen differently than women. You know what I mean? So most men do not listen to all the long drawn out details and all that we talk about. A lot of them have issues with listening to us and not paying attention. Even Woody, when he talked to his grandmother, she said the same thing. And she knows this about her grandson. Pay attention, take your time, listen to her. That's the advice that I would give you. And that's exactly what Amani said. So that's just something he has to work on. They had a romantic dinner. He just got kind of emotional. It was really sweet. You changed me into a better person. I'm very sure of what I'm gonna, what I'm thinking about for decision day. I can't see myself without you at this point. That's what he said, right? Hey, then he got to, if you say no, it would be because I'm not listening. So he did acknowledge that. And then he said, if you say no, I don't want to hear nothing else. You have to say, I'm probably going to storm out. I'm going to do this, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it was, Amani did not like the response. And I think he said it again in the bed, I believe. Something happened where she's kind of like, where is this coming from? I don't like this side of Woody. I haven't seen it yet. And she's been lucky not to see it yet, because remember, his mother was trying to warn her before that he has this side. He addressed it. I got therapy for it. That doesn't mean it's not there anymore. So we're going to see. Okay. But I think they'll both say yes. That's my prediction. And then they will be fine. So, all right, let me do Amelia and Bennett real quick, and then we're going to get to Henry and Christina, because they're fun. So, and here are the rest of my notes on them, child. Okay, there we go. So we have Amelia and Bennett. So Bennett is with his friend, and his friend is pretty much opposed to the marriage. He has been from the beginning. He's questioning really hard if Bennett knows Amelia well enough, if he knows her well at all. He's like, he keeps negating what Woody is saying. You guys, you cannot say this is a real marriage or relationship if you've never been through anything hard. You're still in the honeymoon phase. This is a great time for you guys. How can you say, if you don't know how each of you respond to adversity together in a relationship, that that this is going to be forever when you haven't gone through anything real? Right now, this is fake. This is a reality show. You have cameras. They set you up an apartment, the whole thing. This is not. So I understand what he's saying, but at the same time, they don't really have a choice. They have to grow to that. You know what I mean? You have to start somewhere. So then, Bennett talks about the residency in Virginia, splitting his time, the whole thing. And then here comes the negative friend again. Did you ever think about the fact that you won't have a job? You'll just be sitting there waiting in her house, like her dog, like her little puppy. And he has good points. This all makes sense. When you get there, now you're going to feel out of place. You're out of your comfort zone, and you're just going to be waiting in the house for her to bring home a check. And with money comes power. You know what I mean? You're going to be losing a lot of power when you don't have your own money, and she's calling the shots. These are things you have to think about. There's a reverse in gender roles. Some people are down for that gender role reversal until they're actually in it, and they're like, wait a minute, hold up, I didn't see this happening. You know what I mean? So it gave Bennett some good things to think about, right? So Amelia decides to go to a witch who reads tarot cards to find out about, what she thought about the situation. And she basically told Amelia, you have nothing to worry about. She did address her anxiety and her ability to overthink the situation. And Amelia's like, oh, that's right on point. And then the Wi-Fi goes out. So as soon as she was going to say something that there might be a small amount of concern about, the Wi-Fi went out. So they're like, maybe that's a sign. But she's talking to her friends and she tells them about the dream. And so now we need Goldie, the dream interpreter from Tamar's show, to come and talk about why Bennett was a cucumber and she ended up eating him in a sandwich and the whole thing, right? But either way, they're both so goofy, you know what I mean? They're like wearing costumes around the house. And I saw people starting to question, like, are they just putting this on for the show to be extra goofy and extra out there? I don't know. But I feel the same way. It's getting a little bit annoying. Like, are you guys serious? Like, whatever. So, Amelia decides to let out the fact that when she signed up for the show, she probably wasn't ready to be married. She thought it would be fun to be on a reality show. She thought so now Bennett is questioning, is she going to be a different person when this is over? If you just signed up for the reality show and for it to be fun, am I just seeing the reality show Amelia? You know what I mean? If you were never taking this seriously, you never once married, how are you going to be like when we have to be in real marriage? And then Amelia starts talking some more. I like everybody. I would have married a snowman. I end up, and she said that in the beginning, if you guys caught it, I pretty much fall in love with everybody that I meet. So then it's like, okay, so what's special about Bennett? What's special? And in Bennett's mind, what's special about me? You're telling me you're so in love with me, the whole thing, you could just as easily be in love with my friend or the person down the block or the neighbor. You know what I mean? So the path she's taken with her conversation now is not looking good the day before decision day. So, of course, Bennett is disappointed that she signed up for different reasons, and he's just finding this out 4 months later. And then, Amelia starts saying, I'm going to miss this. This was a great experience. The cameras made me feel like a movie star. So it's like now everybody's giving her the side eye. You know what I mean? Was this all just a ploy? And it's just weird that she would say that to the cameras when they supposedly do such a good, they do like such a good job. So they think the experts of filtering out the people who might just want to use this as a come up. So we'll see how this goes. I still think both of them will say yes. I think that Bennett will express his concerns, but I think that they will both say yes. Okay. So lastly, Henry and Christina, right? So we see them returning from the camping trip, and they talk. I think Henry said that they were cordial all weekend, and he decided that I wanted to stay that way. If you're in a relationship now and you're just being cordial, that just means you're just trying to stick it through. You're tolerating the other person until it's over. And I remember the first season of Married at First Sight, when the husband and the wife, they were kind of just now coming around to each other, and he said he was being cordial. That was what broke them up completely, because it's like, you're just tolerating me. You know what I mean? You don't really want to be here. And we already know Henry and Christina are in a horrible place. So Christina's talking to her friend. This is an older guy, and she talks about how there was no spark, and I'm thinking, there's no spark between them. You're not going to talk about the fact that you lied on him or lied to him, and you never opened up about what happened, the whole thing. But she's very shady and manipulative, and she's a little cuckoo, right? So she says, she wants to make this work still because she's never had a good guy like him. And I think the same thing for Christina. She doesn't want to lose a good guy. It's not really him that she's into. It's like, I've never had a guy that was this nice, who respected me this much, so I don't want to lose him. I'm hoping that this can go somewhere. But after everything you have done to this man, the way you treated him, why would you think that he would be anywhere interested in you? You know what I mean? So she did say, I'm shocked he stayed, right? Because she felt like he doesn't like her, so she knows that. But my thing is, if you feel like he's all the way there, what do you want from him? Why would you want to stay? But she is desperate for this type of a guy. So she says, I'm not dumb, I'm not ugly, I'm not needy, I'm not this and that. And the friend is so funny, he's laughing. He made me laugh because he's like, well, And she's like, but he needs to put in effort. Of course, Aunt Henry needed to put in effort, but he's been checked out. Once he saw that you were rude, you were a liar, you were doing all these crazy things, he already checked out. Because the type of guy that Henry is, he needs a good, wholesome girl that likes to drink wine. And that's all he wants. He didn't want somebody with all these toxic things coming at him because he can't handle it. So now Henry is talking to his friend, the one who he should probably, the one that was like in love with him. They're probably in love with each other, and but she's probably friend zoned him. And so he says, this marriage has been a struggle, communication, honesty, all the things that they're talking about. He tells the cameras that Christina is holding this text message over his head that basically, if you don't take me back or have me back, I'm going to expose this text message, on the reality show or to your friends or to you or whatever like that. So she's blackmailing him to be in a relationship with her. This girl is batshit crazy, y'all. Like, this is crazy. Like, just think about the fact that you are blackmailing somebody to expose a lie that you made on national TV, and so that he will stay in a relationship with you. That isn't really a relationship. That's really crazy. So she is really a toxic person. She has a lot of issues to work on. I was thinking about what might have happened in her past to her. Who is it that she was dealing with? Who are these guys that have her like this? What was her father's role in her life? Something traumatic must have happened to her. She has a lot going on. She's too old to be making up these flagrant lies, like she said, and she even admitted to it. I would lie for attention when I get upset. This is toxic. And this is too much for somebody on a reality show like this to have to take on in a relationship. And experts should have weeded this out. So, he says it so calm though. Like he doesn't, and Henry doesn't tell his friend that happened. For some reason, he doesn't communicate certain things. He's keeping this within, between he and her, and like maybe Woody or something like that. But he doesn't tell his friend that she lied on him. So it's almost like he's not really that upset about it. Like, when a guy just kind of looks at you like, I ain't dealing with you no more. It's like that type of thing. Like you just too wild for me. But like he just kind of kept it to himself, which I was surprised about. So, they go on a romantic dinner. Again, I don't know why, because we all know that they're not into each other. This is going to work. And, she asked, how are you feeling about decision day? And I'm just like, is this girl delusional? And just like Henry said at one point, she's living in an alternate reality. And I agree. Like, at what point would you think that I would say yes on decision day? Like, we are in such a bad place. Like, this is horrible. This is not a relationship. You have lied to me. You still haven't apologized for it. Then she talks in circles around it to give the halfway apology, and just kind of like glosses over it and does it with a smile. But it's like, no, there's no coming back from that. Okay. So, she is saying, but I am proud of us with everything we've been through. We stuck it out. Like, y'all stuck it out by just wanting to experience what the other couples were experiencing. So you wanted to go camping, you wanted to stay on camera, you didn't want to walk away from the reality show, but y'all did not stick it out. There was no relationship between you guys, right? So, she said, sometimes I act a fool. Well, duh, we know that. You should not have been acting a fool in this situation. You had no reason to, right? And so, again, here she goes. I'm used to somebody putting me in my place, and she's impulsive, and she should stop doing the things she does. You said it yourself. You do need to stop doing the things that you're doing, and you do need to be put in your place as well. Somebody should have been put you in your place. And that being said, all these antics that she's pulling, he should have put her in her place and left. They should not be staying together after being accused of sleeping with a man, and then finding out that that she made up this whole text scenario. He should have left. But again, nobody's giving her consequences for her behavior. So she has never been put in her place. So maybe that was how she was raised, that growing up, and I watch a lot of ID channel. That's what happens with those kids when growing up, they're never put in their place. So, I think she said she's starting to rethink, and starting to rethink what her decision would have been, and she's just toxic, and he needs to leave her alone, never talk to her again. And then she starts to ask, like, what do you like about me? I just feel like she's digging a deeper and deeper hole for herself. What do you mean? Like, what part what part do I like? Like, that's the hardest part, because there's so many things I don't like about you. You know what I mean? And he just comes up with your spontaneity, and then he says, you write well. These are the most surface level characteristics about her personality. And then she decides that she wants to cry and break down, and so that means a lot. You write well? You're not a writer. You're not a journalist. This isn't your career. You literally wrote half a page of a letter, and he's searching very hard for something positive to say about you. This isn't really even a characteristic about your personality. Okay? He had to dig for that one. And she bursts out crying. So it makes me feel like, what is going on with this girl? Is this all drama? Is there an extreme lack of self-esteem here? Like, she's got some deep stuff going on, right? So, you know, it's like she gets very emotional over like minimal generosity. And to me, that's a little concerning, well, very concerning. So, you know, again, he says, you know, she lives in two different realities than he does, you know. This pride, like, it just doesn't go, her reaction doesn't go with what is happening in the right now. You know what I mean? So, you know, Christina is so hopeful and feels like we can kind of create our own happiness. We can create our own magic, you know, if we were to stay in this and kind of go together, and that's not going to happen. So I think that she might say yes in decision day, and Henry will definitely say no, and we know why. Let me know what your thoughts and predictions are. Like, comment, share, subscribe, you know, the whole thing. Get back to me. Let me know what you think. See you next time, next week, Reality with T. Bye-bye.